So good morning. When I was asked by Remy, George, can you come and make a speech about change management or lean and change or things like that, I asked myself, so what to do? And one idea is to make a nice, smooth presentation about what is cool in change management, coming with some new models and saying we are the best and this is how change has to be ruled in the future. And I decided not to make it like this, but more to talk with you about what is my impression, what is just going on in companies in which we are consulting, in companies where we are observing how they deal with change management. And what is interesting is that there is such a big need for change, and it's incredible how companies are really dealing with this factor. And to be honest, sorry Carolina to say it, in the theoretical words of consultants and of universities, it's always the most important thing. And if you go in companies, it's sometimes a shame how managers, how leaders are really dealing with change management. Maybe you will talk a little bit then, about this. Yeah. And so the idea for my speech here is more to share with you my observations, or even the challenges I see for companies in this time, because the time is not easy. We are in a phase where change, or the idea how change can work, we have to think differently on it. And so I have a presentation with 20 slides and I think 15 words on it. Yeah. So it's more about giving some ideas to you and talking about it, so don't have the fear that I will come with a lot of content. And maybe what I'm telling you in this half an hour is simple, no? And maybe not really a revolution, but it's what I'm caring about and what is really bothering me in this time. So when I'm talking with managers, not with leaders, with managers about change, I have pretty often a sensation that they are looking bad with the feeling of, it was so nice in the past, huh? When we could elaborate a strategy. We spent 1 year elaborating the strategy, and then we had 5 years to make the rollout. Yeah. Wasn't this a nice time? Huh? So it was plannable. You could almost have an impression how the world will be in the next years. You could give promises to your employees. You could say, you know, my word I'm giving to you is a real word of a gentleman. Yeah. I'm promising you that your job is secure, that the business model we have is stable, and that we can work together and make a nice thing. If you agree, if you are aligned on this strategy, if you go with us on this strategy, then it will be a nice thing we will do, a nice journey we will spend together. Yeah. Reality is not more like this. Huh? So you just have to open your newspapers in the morning. difficult to give answers, actually. Yeah? And you're asking 2 experts, you're getting 4 opinions about what will be tomorrow. So you know all these. I don't have to go in detail on these, but it's a big challenge, and it's a challenge which is even increasing, because if you're looking then on the manager's life, since secretaries or assistants have been reduced in the last 10 years, and Blackberries and iPhones and all these apps have found their way to the manager's offices. We have managers being more, like this picture. Huh? So having to be multitasking, having to manage in a certain way, even their own task. Huh? So I don't talk about really having the overview about what is going on in the company and really defining a strategy. They're almost overwhelmed by the day-by-day jobs. Yeah. And so the difficult situation in the market, the difficulty to really make prediction in the future, is creating, and managers being 120% in the job, 150% overwhelmed by whatever, you have a very strange situation in companies. Yeah? You have a manager being here in the middle and having to deal with expectations from their employees. Because what do they need? What do they want? They want the boss saying, I know. Yeah. They want the boss giving the direction and the certainty that the direction is the right one. Yeah. Is he able to do that? Is he able really, like here on the right picture, to having a plan which is so clear and so predictable in a certain way? I have my doubts. I really have my doubts. And the issue is that, you see, even the computer is not predictable anymore. So the IT guys, so even IT is... that managers feel more and more guilty. Because why are they there? They are there to plan, to organize, to give security, to ensure, let's say, a stable environment. That's one of the basic missions managers are seeing for, not leaders, huh? So managers. Managers have the expectation and are defining themselves as a mission to ensure stability. Yeah. And I see more and more managers really feeling guilty. Yeah. They really feel guilty because they cannot give anymore the answers all the surrounding people are expecting from them. Yeah. Daddy, can you tell me if my job is still stable tomorrow? Yes, my son, it will be stable. So is this the answer? Yeah. No. And so the question I'm thinking about now is how to, what types of proposals to give to these managers? How to help them to find their new role in this crazy environment. Yeah. So and that's in fact the discussion I would like to share with you about how managers can find their new role in these crazy times. Yeah, one answer is this one, no? Yeah. we had in history sometimes people like this, huh? So even in Germany, so 60 years ago. Huh? So people not having a clue, yeah, but doing so as if they know where to go. It can be powerful, huh? So you saw it in the 30s or 40s. Huh? So if you have a guy really believing, maybe if he's, even if he's crazy, believing in follow me and I know, you can align a lot of people around you. But it's a little bit risky, huh? Especially if you don't know where the direction is. Huh? So it might be a nice theoretical leadership model, but at the end of the day, is this the answer? I don't know. The other one is trying to simulate clarity, order, and stability. You do so as if, yeah. And if your employees are starting to complain, oh, it's my job, blah, 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 you say, you know, first we will go with ISO 9000. Yeah. And we will regulate all in the system. Yeah. So giving an artificial security. Yeah. And you don't have to have fears about your job because your contract is as it is and it's a fixed contract, so why are you now complaining? And so there is no need for, you see, you have a job description, you have clear roles and whatever, so don't care about the rest, just concentrate on your clearly defined job. For some people it works, huh? But for some others, who are thinking and maybe not just concentrating on their small role, they may think, is this real life here or not? And you know, a lot of companies are doing that. For years and years, they are creating an artificial surroundings. People are even maybe believing that this is true. Until the day they're reading the newspaper that the company is going bankruptcy, and they never heard of it. So it's a weird way of protecting your employees out of the real world of the outside. And so you all know the Kurt Lewine's concept of change management, one of the classical one, with the idea, come on, if you go to change, first thing is to unfreeze. So really to tell the people that things have to change, and then to move, and then on a higher level, hopefully, to refreeze again. So it's still a basic concept of change management, even if you're looking to the concepts of Kotter and whatever. Create a sense of urgency, and then so first irritating, then giving the new direction, and then making the project, and then anchoring again, and going back to stability. So that's the basic idea we are reading and teaching and consulting quite every day to say, first we have to irritate, then move, and then stabilizing again. And looking it on this way, it really looks fine. If there wouldn't be a reality which is more like this. You cannot, there is not one change anymore. political topics, economical topics change. I had a company in last year, December, 15,000 employees. They said, we have to reduce our cost by 20% because there will be a crisis in January. Yeah. And woof, they really put all their energy in reducing, and they told to all the employees, sense of urgency, that's the way we have to organize, In January, no crisis. Yeah. Yeah. It was the opposite. They had the biggest order intake since years. Yeah. So what to tell to the people? Yeah, yeah, maybe we're waiting with staff reduction until February. But February was even higher. So you see, the classical predictability of we're going through one change with the whole company doesn't work anymore. So, and maybe you are all expecting now that I'm coming with the answer, huh? So I'm still looking for it. Yeah, sorry. But honestly, that's the topic which companies have to deal with and trying to find a solution. How to get a new way to approach change in this crazy environment. Not with a classical idea, let's go through a project, let's go through a certain initiative, and then all will be better once we've gone through the change. But it's not true anymore. Once you had a half of your change, the next one is already starting. A certain time, I was in the idea. So let's forget all these classical concepts and let's say change is permanent. Let's say companies are there to evolve. And so, like in nature, all your life you have to deal with changes. There is just one problem. Human beings are not made for that. Even brains, huh? So a brain with no connected synapses is a crazy brain. So once you don't have stability in your brain, you're schizophrenic. Yeah? You don't have any references, and as you don't have references, you're mad. Yeah. And in a certain way, it's the same in companies. If you don't have references, if you don't have a certain stability, the company is, I don't know, is a company without anchors. And as it moves without stability, it's also difficult. Yeah. And yeah, it goes a little bit to this picture, and then I'm trying to come with some ideas of answers. You know this joke about change management is like ham and eggs? Yeah, you know it? No? Okay, so change management is like the project ham and eggs. Yeah. What do you need for the project ham and eggs? You need bacon and eggs. What animal do you need? A pig and a chicken. What do you think? How will be the acceptance of the project ham and egg from the pig? Maybe he will say, couldn't we make something vegetarian? And is really ham and eggs the need of the customers? Yeah, I know a customer who doesn't like at all, and you know it's fat. All these bacon is not so good for your health. Maybe we should go for another way. Yeah. And so my experience, when you go in discussion with the people about change is permanent, my impression is, my sensation is, you have a lot of people feeling like pigs. And when they're talking with me, they say, you consultant, you are the chicken. Yeah. You come and go. And maybe you leave an egg, but you don't have to deal with the consequences. Or they thinking the same about their managers. You managers talking about change, you are the chicken. Because if it doesn't work, if your strategy doesn't work, you just say, je me barre. Yeah, and you're going to the next one. And what is funny, sometimes the bigger the crisis was in the company, the more the press talked about the managers. And sometimes it's even easier to get a new job because then you're known in the industry. Yeah? So a lot of employees are seeing their managers or the consultants as a chickens, and themselves as the pigs. And that's the issue. That you have a lot of people feeling like being the losers in the game. And it doesn't help if you tell them about the brave new world. All will be better. They say, and sometimes the way of thinking is really paranoid, but it doesn't help. Huh? So people are trying to see, and what is the negative consequence for me? Can you at least ensure that I will not be part of the pig section? But you can't. Huh? So if you're honest, you can't. You cannot say who will survive. It's not possible. But it's, where do we have it? It's an issue, and what happens, you as managers, you feel guilty. And let's talk about what to do not to feel guilty. So first thing to do is, yeah, that's another metaphoric idea. People are feeling as being lost in the big sea, a lot of sharks around them, no clear answers, and expecting from the managers to come and to save them, to rescue them. Don't do that. Don't do that. So this was also one of my first ideas to say, let's go dive. Huh? So take your fins, take your mask, take your employees, and explore with them what is really under the water, under the surface. And maybe when they better understand what is going on, when they see there is no shark there, or even if there is a shark, you can feed him, it's not so, maybe they will get a better feeling, maybe they will have a better understanding, and then feel more comfortable. In fact, what is behind that is saying, start taking responsibility, start looking what is really going on, build up your own mind, and try to find a solution for yourself. There are limitations. You can do that. You can do that with your top management. You can do that with the middle management, where you have people having really also the possibility of influencing, of trying to bring it together and to go a certain way. But what do you tell to the small guy in the factory, and you talk with him about the macroeconomic crisis of the euro, and how it might influence himself, and that he has to think about new qualifications because the world is changing. He cannot deal with that. It's overwhelming him, and trying to give him answer on this on this level, may create a situation where you're losing the people. They cannot follow you anymore because it's too, the responsibility is too high for them. And they can even not take it. Yeah. And so I have to admit in my last years of consultancy that you have a lot of non-divers. You have a lot of people in companies who are not able to jump with you in the water and really to look on how to deal. You have to try to give them answers in a certain way, but not on the big level. They cannot deal with this. So what is the topic I'm thinking about is no? IT. So in fact, the topic I would like to discuss with you, maybe this afternoon, is what are for the futures the two typical streams to deal with change. And so the idea in my mind is maybe there are two different streams. One on the macro level and one on the micro level. And the idea of this forum today to integrate lean in change has something to do with this idea. Okay, the classical way of the macro level is you know, we are consulting about 300 companies a year. What do you think, how many of them I could really confirm that the top manager has a clear vision and knows where to go? What do you think? If it's a handful, it's a lot. It's a lot. And we're talking a lot about managers, huh? But what is really missing is people being able to take risks, being able to have an entrepreneurial spirit, and really being able, maybe to go a little bit on the picture you saw before with the Roman emperor going his way. So I have actually one hero, so I'm admiring a little bit. Maybe he will completely fail, but it doesn't matter. You know, success, sometimes if you go for a vision, success in many cases has nothing to do with the performance and the vision in itself and the capability of the guy of providing this success. Success is sometimes the luckiness that your vision is just bringing a social system in movement. And sometimes it's a lot of coincidences with is creating success. The same idea 5 years earlier or 5 years later will not be a success. So I don't want to talk with you about what is successful, because success sometimes is not really predictable. I rather would like to talk with you what is necessary to really bring an organization forward. And my actual hero is Elon Musk. I don't know if you know Elon Musk. Yeah. I have to tell you this story because it's one of my, I really admire this guy. Elon Musk was the one who created PayPal. And he, in the late 90s, he sold his company to, I think it was Amazon, yeah? Was it Amazon? I think it was Amazon. And to eBay. And he made $200 million at this time. So cash out, $200 million on your bank account. even not 30 years old at this time. Yeah. So some people would say, okay, now it's time to buy an island in the Caribbean Sea. Yeah. And he didn't do that. Yeah. So he had a clear vision, and it's interesting. He said, there are 3 topics for humanity which are important, and I want to contribute to it. First is we have to have renewable energy. Yeah. So he bought a company for solar panels. Second one, we have to have mobility without pollution. So he bought a company car with electro cars in Los Angeles. And he said, in a certain time, maybe in 100 years, the planet Earth will have its limitations, so we have to go to Mars. Yeah, so you think this guy is crazy, huh? But these were his 3 visions he had. So he spent his money in buying a solar company, in buying Tesla, the car company in Los Angeles, and in starting a new company, building rockets. Yeah. 3 years later, after his 8th rocket exploded during the start, yeah, there was the crisis in 2009, so electro company went down. Solar was critical. All the money was away. So he lost all his money. Yeah. He tried to find some investors. Difficult. So he was really just about to be bankrupt. He had the chance that the market for electromobility started again. So Tesla worked. He made an IPO with Tesla. He got some money for continuing the business. And recently, he got a contract. One of the rockets worked, yeah, and now the NASA had a big issue. They don't have their shuttle anymore, so they don't know how to go to their station, and they had nowadays to go to the Russians to send goods to the International Space Station, which is for an American guy really hard. So having to go to the Russians to send goods to their international station. So the NASA made a few weeks ago a contract with Musk about $1.5 billion to send 10 rockets to the space station. Now he's worth about $2 billion actually, again. So why do I tell you this? It could have been completely wrong. So 2 years ago, he could be bankruptcy, and what would the people tell about him? Yeah, he's crazy. He's crazy. And maybe people would be right, huh? So that's always, it's like Columbus, huh? So we go to the west to go to east, huh? So that's always difficult for entrepreneurs to really get an acceptance and not being seen as a crazy people. No? And as many companies are shareholder owned, you have to make business plans. Try to go to a bank for credit, and you say, "I want to go to Mars." The banker is asking you for the business plan. You say, I don't know. Huh? So maybe the first rocket will work, but maybe I will spend $1 billion for 10 rockets, and then we will see. Huh? Not possible. Not possible anymore. But if the manager doesn't have a vision, and here I'm changing the word from manager to leader. If you don't have a true leader, yeah, and don't mix leader with Adolf, huh? Because in German leader means Führer. Yeah, so that's the reason why Führer doesn't work anymore in Germany. Yeah? If you don't have a true leader, that means having the skills of developing a vision and having the skills to provide it to your people, it will not work. And that's also an issue. I see a lot of change concepts in companies where you don't feel as an employee that there is a real persuasion about the result. So, and you know, it's difficult for us as consultants because we are coming to companies who have a CEO in front of us, and you say, oh, we want to change, and you're looking the guy in the eye, and you see it's a manager, it's an organizer, it's, but there is no clear, but he doesn't have a clue about what will be. He's making strategic market analysis. But there is no real vision behind. So that's one aspect. So, and let's come to the second, and this may be the link for today. That's on the macro level. The macro level is the one you talked a lot when you're talking about change management, having a clear leadership and all this stuff, so it's not new. This aspect may not be seen as classically relevant for change management, but out of my understanding, it can be even more important than the other one. Because if I'm standing in front of a manager talking about his way of, that's the vision and blah, 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 sometimes I'm saying, come on, forget it. Give it to your marketing department and they're making a nice brochure, and this brochure will be sent to the customers that they know you have a vision and blah. But maybe it's not the approach. Maybe it's not the approach to get your people involved in a transition, in a permanent transition you're in. So on the typical question is, what to do? If it's not the macro vision, what to do? And here I'm coming to the point in proposing make lean management. Lean management. Why lean management? What does it's in the production? Huh? So lean management. It's a method how to work in the production. Why should this have a big issue or a relevance or an impact on change? But if you're thinking on lean management on another way, on the way to say, you as an employee, you have a certain responsibility, not for the overall company, but for your working environment. And if you are taking your responsibility, you can do it the best in optimizing day by day the work and your environment. And if you're creating this spirit inside of the company, maybe you can tell the people, okay, there might be some influence from the outside where I have to care as a boss. There might be some influences we cannot change. They will come when they come. But if everyone in the company is caring about his job and the improvement and efficiency of your job, then maybe we all together may survive. And if as a company you're working on these two levels, one on the macro level, hopefully these few in the world having this entrepreneurial spirit, and on the other side, having more a spirit in the company of caring about optimizing day by day your job, you might create something which can help. So, but maybe I'm wrong, huh? I don't know. This would be a topic I would like to discuss with you.
Thank you, Georg. Well, I hope that you are not very confused now with the ideas from Georg. I hope that the people are not confused now, but you have the opportunity to discuss all these topics with Georg this afternoon in the workshop if you want. I think it was interesting to hear that you say you have no solutions, but it's not possible to think in the simple way, for example, of unfreezing, move and refreezing, that the situations in the companies are much more complicated. and that we have to find solutions on different levels. And there I think this is a possibility to think in future that we try to separate on what level we need which kind of solution. So that's kind of multiple solutions maybe for the companies, and not one solution that is helping for every disease. So I think it's a little bit like in medicine, that if you have an ill person, that you have not one solution, maybe it's much more complicated. Okay, thank you.